All right, so I guess the title of my talk is Converting Off-the-Shelf Video Games to Exergames. So wouldn't it be great if exercising was as fun and engaging as playing video games? So my name is Brandon, and this is what I'm going to talk to you about today. So I'm first going to talk a little bit about actual just digital games, and what they are in general are large, complex systems that contain lots of different things like music, sound effects, art and graphics, AI algorithms, logic, and distributed networking. And people kind of buy games for various different reasons, and the majority of people buy them for entertainment. But they can also have different kinds of purposes, like education. They can be bought for socializing or exercise or, just the entertainment purpose. And they're built on various different kinds of platforms. They have, PS3, 4, 2, 1, all of them. PC, you have phones nowadays, and you got pretty much anything you can think of. And then you have all the tools that you can just map to these platforms to interact with the game itself. You can even use your body, so that's pretty cool. And then there's all the different genres out there. You have the education ones, you have RPGs, action, adventure. Yeah. Anything you can think of is pretty much made, but everybody thinks of new things, combining new different things, and it seems like it comes out of nowhere if you find a new one. So this is an Exergame, and in general, an Exergame is a digital game that encourages exercise through play. Now, there's different kinds of these Exergames based on this definition, and you can have things like, intense exercise, you want high heart rates, you want to sweat a lot. And that's one type of game, and this, because you're using like a high physically demanding process in it. Research has shown that you can't really use a cognitively demanding process with it as well, because it reduces people's engagement in the game and their thought of fun. So there's different kinds of things, like we can use a Kinect to map a person's body and use these things for like rehabilitation purposes. So I know this isn't an actual real game, but it shows the big thing of, hey, it's going to map your body, it's going to show you what kinds of moves you're actually going to make. And people can build games off of this. And generally they're slower paced games. Kind of the main purpose of them is to precisely map the body so that you're doing moves correctly. The slower pace is for, say, if you're coming off an injury and you can't make too much sudden movements, but you need to actually exercise these muscles to gain your strength back. And then there's, I guess, the regular Exergames that I'll be talking more about today is more for entertainment purposes, but has enough exercise built into the game that you're actually not being sedentary while you're playing games. And an Exergame typically has a data flow to it. You need to collect data from a person, and it can be kind of collected using several different kinds of ways, different tools like GPSs, which are in your phones, in your phones and your watches, pretty much everywhere you go, you're kind of mapped. That could be games like, Pokemon Go. You're walking around and it's tracking you all the time. And you can do sensors, any kind of sensors, like sensors that could be on treadmills or exercise bikes. And you can incorporate that into games. You can have heart rate monitors, you can have motion detection, and you can have custom game pads that are out there a lot now. And kind of once you are able to get this data that you can collect, you stream it to a system in, I guess it's not really built into the games, it might be an external tool, and you stream the data to that, and you kind of format this data into usable data, and something that you can just perform analysis on, data analysis, and depending on what kind of functionality you want in the game, you produce some sort of output. And for this, like, there's so many different kinds of outputs that you can make for Exergames. You could have something that says, hey, if you're moving around, you can actually move your character in the game. Otherwise, you can't. So it encourages people to actually move. Or you can say, okay, well, if your heart rate's above a certain level, then you can actually get bonuses in the game. So this is another kind. It's pretty extensive. Has a projection of like 3 screens here. Is mapping your actual movement on a treadmill. That's the self-propulsion kind of treadmill. That's more the extensive parts. But then you can also have things that are more simple. Exercise bike with a TV on it, monitor. And in this particular example, there's a bunch of people in a room. They're exercising on this bike and they're playing this game. And the harder they're actually pedaling, the faster they can be, and the more ammo you can have for blowing up your friends. So this itself is something that encourages exertion and play. But there are some drawbacks to Exergames in general. If you're making a game purely for an exercise. And it comes with like all the different kinds of problems that publishers have nowadays with regular video games. You have large teams, which means you're going to probably have large production timelines, large amounts of money that needs to go into these things to build them. And these teams, they require artists, they have programmers, they have designers, testers, and it's just a lot of work. So how long before people get actually tired of the content of the game? So if you're building a game from scratch and you just put it out and then 3 weeks later or a month later people are tired of your game because you can probably only play it for an hour and it's kind of repetitive, they're going to get bored and then you have no game that's actually being played. So content is something that's a real problem with these kinds of games, and continual release of content is something that's needed to actually allow Exergames to kind of do their job. And then with this low return on investment. So there's not a lot of market for Exergames. It's very segregated. A lot of people don't want to move while they're playing video games. They want to sit down and relax. So it's a segregated market of all video games. So a solution to this is what I'm talking to you about today, is what if you can mod an actual game into an Exergame? And this would keep the entertainment level for all the mainstream games, but add a new dimension to the original game, which would encourage exercise through play. So how can we do it? Modding. So modding has been around for like 40 years now. This is a mod of Castle Wolfenstein on the Apple II back in 1981. And Castle Smurfenstein has changed all the enemies to Smurfs, and you're going through and killing Smurfs for all day. Next one is kind of like, this is how I was more looked at, I guess, nowadays. It's very extensive. You can do so many different things with them. This is a simple thing that you can do, is change all the characters in Final Fantasy 15 to Power Rangers. But there's thousands of mods out there for hundreds of games, and you can do things like modifying visuals. You can change in-game logic. You can make different modes of FPS games like Counter-Strike. There's so many possibilities out there. It's more of how creative do you want to be if you're actually modding these games. And there are different approaches to actually performing these kinds of steps. And 3 of them that I'm outlining here are like a black box conversion, which basically is you're not looking at source code. You are getting an output from an exercise machine, and you're basically using a tool to change an input or an output of the exercise to an input of the game. There should be a simple thing of if you're pedaling a bike, now you can move. The next one is kind of source code modification, where you can actually change all the attributes of the game itself and incorporate your functionality of an Exergame into, or any kind of game into the code. And the other is modding interface approach. So there's a fair amount of games out there now, I think it's in the dozens, that actually give you a modding interface that is put out there by publishers. So a couple of the big ones are, like the Elder Scrolls games come with a modding interface, Half-Life, and there's a number of different ones that have these kinds of things in there. And talking about Half-Life, this is a Exergame that was done using Half-Life, Half-Life 2, and it was termed Calf-Life, because it was using an exercise bike. And the modifications in here is you have a cadence sensor on the bike, you have a heart rate monitor, and they actually made this functionality called a heart rate power-up into the game, which is that heart up there. So what it does is it monitors your heart rates. If you're above some sort of target level, it lights up and gives you bonuses based on your target heart rate. And for this, it gives you a little bit of bonus, because if you pedal really hard, then, well, you don't want the game to be too easy. So it gives you something like infinite ammo and health regeneration. And it comes up with this cool little aura that shows you, hey, we got the bonus, and we're going to kill lots of people now. So there are different kinds of games. Like this was part of a study at Queen's University that's kind of converted 2 different games. And it's this one and Skyrim, which was termed Thyrim. It's pretty, yeah. And it just basically used the same kind of functionality, but incorporated it in a slightly different way, kind of had different bonuses available to the players, like more strength, infinite running, that kind of stuff. So the big thing is here that there's so many different kinds of things that you can put into these kinds of games. It all depends on the publisher, or the designer and developers, what they want to do with the game, and how they want to see it actually move forward. So with that, by the way, that was the thing I was supposed to show of heart rate power-ups. That showed up there. I guess takeaways from this talk. So Exergames can make digital games more dynamic, which is good for us because we're pretty sedentary individuals at this day and age. So any kind of thing where you're not being sedentary and you're actually moving around, you're playing games, it encourages movement. It's very good, and we need more of it. So actually converting these popular off-the-shelf digital games to Exergames means that we can actually have more games where we can move around, we can play, we can exercise, We can do things that we're not actually just sitting down. But this actual method of modding games for this purpose kind of overcomes several of the Exergames problems that people have been having with developing them from scratch. And with it, if you can just piggyback off Exergames, and it's a lot easier, a lot cheaper to develop games where you can actually exercise with them. And with that, I'm done. So, thank you all for listening.